Oh man, do we have a treat for you today in our next episode of the Unicorn Campaigns? Today I sit down with Tyler, who is the owner and founder of Morning Mugs. I'm just going to tell you, I loved every second of my conversation with Tyler, and I think that you're going to too. And the reason why is that Tyler doesn't mess around. He does things with his business that are truly unique and extraordinary, and they give people, customers, an opportunity to engage in a unique and fresh way. One of the things that I found over and over again is that companies that have nothing to do with your industry can be some of the most profound in helping you understand what you can do to market, advertise, brand, elevate your operations, your systems in your company. So I love this story for so many reasons. Tyler and I have actually become friends since the recording of this podcast. We've never talked before, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. It's one of those days, Tyler, where I'm excited because I get to have so many conversations, and I always kind of like struggle with it feeling like not work. You know what I mean? It's real.
So like the other day, not the other day, maybe a month ago, somebody was like, yes, what do you got this week? I'm like, I have to decide what our summer specials are going to be and what flavors we're going to use. It sounds kind of stupid, I know. They're like, no, that sounds sick. Like I'm looking at spreadsheets, hating my life, and you're deciding what flavors go in coffee. And I'm like, yeah, it just sounds weird coming out of my mouth more than anything. Like it's a pretty sick life, honestly, but they don't also know the ins and outs of running a business.
One of the things that made me excited to chat with you, there's a lot of things, but one of the things, one of my closest friends ever, she used to own a couple coffee shops. And my daughter is observant of the world and sees what dad does and sees what her adopted Aunt Janice does or has done, and she's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, and like a coffee shop seems cool. And my dear friend Janice goes, no, sweetie, I'll never let you go into food service. It's too hard. What made you want to start a coffee shop? And then like, how is it running something that, I mean, intrinsically, statistically, is one of the most challenging businesses you could have picked? Like, what's the motivation, the goal? What's driving you, brother?
Yeah. I'm going to put one more variable on top of that, Dave. How about we start it in February of 2020? How about we remember the days when you weren't allowed to sit inside and eat? And so, honestly, years before this, in that I graduated college with a degree in marketing, and trying to get a marketing job in Baltimore ain't it. Yeah. I didn't want to move to New York City to get paid nothing to not be able to live. So I said, you know what? I don't want to do marketing for somebody else's business anyway. I want to do marketing for my business. So I'm going to do marketing for my business one day. And whether you believe in manifestation or not, I said this anytime anybody asked me what I was doing. And I wasn't doing it on purpose. That's just truly, it was almost my way of coping with the fact that I wasn't in a job that I loved. The job I was in was a kitchen equipment contracting. Looking at blueprints day after day was miserable. Like for somebody like the creative mind and things like that, it was so detail oriented, almost too detail oriented. But I tell this to people now, you really never know how something's going to come back to help you.
That's right.
There were 5 mugs in the cabinet of our kitchen, the kitchenette in the office, that were black on the outside with a different color on the inside. I hear your question. I'll get to it. I'm going to tell a little story first.
No, I love this, man. This is the best.
There are 5 mugs, black on the outside, different color on the inside. And for some reason, I just decided I'm going to start guessing what color mug I pick. And on days that I would pick it and get it wrong, it was just another day at the office. But on days that I got it right, there was like a euphoria in the air. I don't know what it was, but the spreadsheets looked cleaner. Everything was brighter almost. This kind of transitioned into, me taking my phone and Snapchatting my friends like, all right, guys, I'm going with blue. What are you going to guess? And then I'd flip it and, but I would put my own little flair on it. I'm a motivational guy. I like to cheer people up. And eventually my friend's like, dude, you got to make this an Instagram. This is sick. And I'm like, dude, I'm not making this an Instagram. Are you kidding me? What? This is weird. I'm guessing colors, guys. Come on. Sure enough, I give in to peer pressure. I make an Instagram called Morning Mugs. Um, Eventually, I leave that job and go work in tech sales. I did not decide to bring the mugs with me, but a month after I started, Morning Mugs is still in a drawer somewhere. That's put away, but it's in the back of my mind. Call it. That was February. Now we're down to October 31st, actually, because there was a wedding that weekend. I went to get my hair cut at a barber shop. To walk to the barber shop, you had to walk through a coffee shop that was vacant from the barbers telling me, yeah, this space is great. Somebody should take it over. And there was just something about it that clicked and made sense. Was not a coffee drinker. I used to drink what I. Oh yeah, no. I used to drink what I called the glazed donut because it was half cream, 3 sugar packets, and coffee. But I used to flip over the mug, and what I didn't know was that job in kitchen equipment, the space was already stocked with equipment because it was a shut down business from COVID, owned by the building. It was supposed to be more of an amenity. So somehow this thing that I really hated that first job, but I could price out every little thing in that little space. Reached out to the landlords. COVID was an opportunity time. A lot of sadness for some people, but a lot of opportunity for others.
Yeah.
So I just said, fuck it. I had this money saved up from living at home, which sucked. But I didn't pick coffee. Coffee picked me. Now, it wasn't until about a month after we opened that I realized actually what we were selling a good time. We were selling an opportunity for somebody to experience life a little bit differently because every time you come in the Morning Mugs and you get a drink, each sleeve is a different color. So this one's the red one. I wish I had more of the sleeves. I should have been a little more prepared, but there's red, blue, green, orange, and purple. So that same game that I played every day, every single customer gets to play. I'm asking you to pick a color like we're in first grade.
Grown
the
adults.
Amount of people,
Yeah.
Grown adults. And how this exploded, it even for me exploded into it not being a coffee shop. So how did I get into the restaurant world, you say? The universe put it in my lap. And I decided we're not going to be a restaurant. We're not going to be a coffee shop. We're going to be a place that people come to have a good time. You're just going to get a damn good cup of coffee when you come in as well. And that was the mentality that we took going forward and that I try and share with everyone I speak to about it, but also my employees, because they're the ones delivering that experience now. So that very long-winded way of saying how I got into it. And I'm going to be honest, if you are going to go into the restaurant industry, coffee is not a bad choice because it's, part of everybody's routine. So many people in the world drink it. So it's not the worst one to go into.
No, man.
I appreciate you letting me go off making decisions and delegating out the day-to-day of those decisions. And it's a new way of thinking. As a doer, it's a little bit hard sometimes to only think at that level and then move on to the next thing. The way you're talking about having conversations with people all day, and then you have to turn that side off and pivot back to decision-making, business, and meeting focus. So totally, empathize with what you're going through there.
Dude, I remember I've watched it happen so many times now with different leaders where they go from being a player to being a player coach to just being a coach. And the coaching doesn't feel like a job. Like I've had to walk so many other leaders through that because, you think about this is work. Like this is the job that we get to do. It's ridiculous, by the way. And it's like I remember when I first started to make this transition. I don't know. I'm curious. Did it feel foreign to you too? Because it sounds like it did. Like it was just like this thing where, for me, I was just like, dude, I worked really hard. Like I had so many conversations with staff, with clients, with people on podcasts, and I'm tired, but I still feel like I didn't answer any emails. I didn't put my hands on keyboard to do anything. Like, how was that transition for you?
I'm in the middle of it. So okay. I have my days. I have, there's And this is where I've been really working with my coach in the sense that I really have to dedicate a day to like almost a theme. Today is
Yep.
marketing. And
Yep.
today is when we're doing marketing, which means you're not doing marketing on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Like, not even a little bit, because the way my brain works is it obsesses. Honestly, I think my number one piece of advice to new entrepreneurs is there's no word problem that can describe all of the problems you're going to have happen to you. Problem solving is the number one skill that you can have as an entrepreneur. You don't know. They can't put in a word problem, which happened to us last week. Your landlord decides to not pay the BGE electric bill. What do you do?
Yeah.
School that teaches you that. But it might happen to you in real life. And you got to just, in the moment, you can't give up. You got to think, okay, how do I get through this? And you're allowed, in my opinion, I give myself 30 minutes tops of the fuck this. Life sucks. I'm over it. I don't want to do it, because you got to feel your feelings.
Sure.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's fucking go time.
That's
Now what are we going to do? I also use this when the Ravens lose, to be fair as well. It works for multiple things, but that's my mindset. Yeah.
no, I think that a lot of times we miss the gift of how they got there. Like that story is oftentimes just stunning. And a lot of times it is falling into it. And like there are some times when I hear like, oh man, I had this thing and I was planning it out. This was the dream the whole time and I did it. It's like that's cool too, like that's different. But man, I mean, a lot of my stories are similar, Tyler. Like in the businesses that I've owned over the years, like I started them because I thought I saw an opportunity that I'd never seen before. I bought businesses that people were like, "Hey, you can get this for like nothing," and they just need your skill set to like come in and go to market. And then we did it, and went like, holy crap, like that was crazy. So I think that there's some fun, like that's so fun. One of the things that I love that you incorporated that's really been a huge win for the coffee shop is kind of gamifying, like making it enjoyable with the sleeves. And we were making jokes about it right now where it's like, oh dude, like it's you know, it's grown adults doing this and it's like silly and goofy. Also, of course they are. Of course we get excited about getting the color that we want. Of course we do.
Right.
Tell me like share some stories of what you've experienced and how that's really making people be loyal to your brand, to your coffee shops, to coming in every morning.
Yeah, three stories that come like top of mind. The first being before it was even that had 250 followers. 250 followers for a guy just flipping over a mug, guessing a color is pretty nuts. And, I had a friend, because I'm also interested in the podcasting space. I love talking to people and hearing about their experiences. And a friend of mine is a little bit, ahead of me in that world a lot. There's something special about a podcast that gets 200 views a show, an episode. Because have you ever stood in a room in front of 200 people?
Yeah.
A lot of people. Everyone thinks they want the millions of people listening, the tens of thousands, but like there's something special about 200. So the amount of people that would reach out to me during my videos, which was Monday through Friday, I would flip over this mug and tell me how much they enjoyed it, how much they were looking forward to it. DM me the color guess that they were going with before it flipped over. It was just incredible. And that didn't mean business to me. That just meant true joy. Fast forward, now we're at the coffee shop. We've been open for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months at this point. And I'm working the shop, and some guy comes in. He goes, "I had a dream. It was purple." And I'm like, "Holy shit, we're infiltrating dreams now." What is it? It's not Jason. It's Fred. Well, whoever the infiltrator of dreams is. Toward Scissorhands for all. We are infiltrating dreams. He had a dream. It was purple. I mean, and to your point, we're adults, but there's something about dumbing it down and making it fun and simple. I think the fact that it's simplified also helps.
Yeah.
You also do win 10% off your next coffee. So you get a card, you can bring it in to redeem for 10% off.
So if
So
I guess the color correctly, that's the idea.
that's the idea. And honestly, I
That's
want you
amazing.
to win that card
Sure.
because John Taffer, and I'm going to get these numbers wrong. So, John, don't kill me and don't maybe quote me, but he said something along the lines of a repeat to get a repeat customer. There's a 40% chance they come back. But if they come back, the likelihood of them being a lifetime customer goes up exponentially. I'm not even going to
Yeah.
throw the numbers in there, but there is this level of I want you to win. To be honest, I tell my employees give people two guesses on their first try. I want them to win because that
Yeah.
10%, when they see it in their house, is an opportunity for them to come back in and play again. The other, my third story around this just comes from the true enjoyment of the community around morning mugs. I mean, it's almost like a cult following at this point where I was in San Diego just
Whoa.
hanging out with my friends. Now we were at a Baltimore bar because it was Ravens, it was football season. I was watching my
Sure.
boys. I I'm wearing a Ravens jersey. I don't know, but the mustache helps. People do recognize me a little bit. And
Sure.
I get a tap on my shoulder. And the person goes, "Do you recognize this?" And it's a 10% off card to Morning Mugs.
Whoa.
So the fact that this color game, so simple, so childish,
Yeah.
a product that people love. Now I stand by you need a great product, and I stand by our product. Reached me all the way in California. I mean, that was just really incredible. And then the fact that they still held on to it, that's in their wallet. And I know people keep crazy stuff in their wallet, but seeing me was something they remembered about it. And now all of a sudden they're thinking about morning mugs. So those are the three, that something so simple can really, really invigorate a community and kind of create that cult following, if you will. And it's been a joy getting to see how Baltimore has taken hold of this little color guessing game.
One of the things that I think is so sneakily subtle about that is you were gonna have a sleeve for coffee mugs or for to go cups, no matter what. That was
Yeah.
always, and it's like that idea when we were kids, man. Like all of a sudden, Coke realized in like the mid '90s that they had this space on the bottom of the cap when you opened it that they just like hadn't been playing with at all, and so they started to print on it. Like now they do QR codes and stuff. Back in the day, it was just like phrases and sayings.
Yeah.
And it was genius, man, because everybody would like open the cap as kids. And we're like, what does it say? What is it? Like what's it gonna be? And it's silly, but I think that there's this thing that I've seen as I've gotten older, because now I'm like, it's weird to say this, but it's true. I'm like middle aged.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Yeah.
that's weird.
Here's the top, here's the bottom, and I'm like right here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. Like I forget what I think. The average lifespan of a male in the U.S. is like 76 or 78 or something. And I'm like, crap. So it's interesting to see this, but I see adults really they're trying to find childlike wonder again, and it's part of the reason why, like, even as somebody that's near 40, and I have a lot of friends that are in their 40s and 50s, and man, there's like a different attitude towards when the kids aren't around
Yeah.
and it's just the adults hanging and we're gonna have a good time. There's this desire to have like this goofy childlike wonder, and I feel like you're tapping into that, man. um how have you seen, or has your staff seen, some of your patrons kind of like come alive in some of these conversations? I mean, you gave the one about the dream, you gave the one about
Yeah.
the tap on the shoulder, but like, how is that childlike wonder playing into loyalty to the brand?
Great question. First, I never thought about it that way. We were going to use the sleeves anyway, but now we turned it into something. So I really appreciate you calling that out. And it's funny because when you're a kid, you're always trying to be an adult. You're grasping for getting older. Now at that middle age, I just turned 30, so I'm one step closer, and I love getting older personally.
It's fun.
But my back doesn't. No, but
Yeah.
as I'm getting older, when you're with like the boys, some of the stuff that gets said is the dumbest stuff in the world, but that is what keeps you young. That's what keeps it fun. So I really, truly appreciate you calling that out. Um, when people come into morning mugs, and this I think leads into a belief that I've really taken on, which is people don't buy what you sell, they buy why you sell it. And I heard that, Simon Sinek, who I think is a fantastic, speaker and motivator, his theory on why. And I heard it back in the day, and I love talking about it, but it always stuck with me. People don't buy what you're selling, they buy why you're selling it. And I think that also goes for food a lot of the time, because while I think my coffee is the best in Baltimore, everyone has different taste buds. There's no sign that can say the best coffee in the world is here, because everybody's a little bit different. But how you sell coffee, now that is something that we have taken and just run with. So customers come in and they go through the normal process of ordering coffee. What Starbucks has created. They kind of laid out the carpet for everybody else. You come in, you order your latte, your milk, your flavors, yada, yada. But boom, stop for a second. Let me just pause your brain and get rid of the monotony. Pausing the brain to stop and create a reaction. And that's what people remember. They don't remember the taste, as much as they remember the feeling that they got. I've seen people jump for joy. And I can guarantee that there's somebody going somewhere else to tell that story of the coffee shop you had to guess a color at. That's what people say to me. They don't say morning mugs. They say, wait, is that the coffee shop where you have to guess a color? And I love that, because it's not about the coffee.
That's right.
It's about the game. It's about the feeling. It's about all of that. And so I think that's what we started to notice over the years, is that everything we do needs to drive home an emotion. We actually just went through this. No joke. Before I got on this call, we're dabbling with banana, because banana bread latte is like blowing up right now.
Ooh.
So I went to go get a couple different brands of banana syrup. We tried all of them, and all of them were like, hey, this is like good. Good's not good enough. What I wanted out of my staff that was trying this was, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I wanted to invoke an emotion. And so that's what we need to strive for. That needs to be our goal in everything that we do. And so, I just say it because that like literally was like telling my manager, if they don't react this way, we're not doing it. And so if you're looking to start a business, if you're looking to, even just deliver a product of any sort to anybody, it's how can you do it in a way that invokes the emotion that you're trying to invoke, whether that's a luxurious feeling. We see a lot of brands doing that. We lean on fun. Shit, I don't know who doesn't want to have fun, but listen, we're not the coffee shop for you, and that's okay with me.
Right.
What is that emotion that you're trying to drive home? Why are you doing this business? If it's not fun, we're not doing it.
It's interesting, that philosophy, Tyler. That's something that I actually like try and do in my every day-to-day. So there's actually a part of our brain called the basal ganglia, and it's this part that is the autopilot. So if you've ever had this experience where you are in the car, you're driving to a place that and you get there and you're like, holy shit, how did I get here? Like, I don't know if you've had that, but I certainly have. And it happens so easy for us to get into a routine, and the neural pathways in our brain, they want to stick with neural pathways that are already firing. So it literally is autopilot. It allows your brain to shut down. It's a helpful, healthy part of your brain. And so many of us are on autopilot all day. And so I will do things out, like I just did this. I saw some friends recently, and they have two kiddos that are like close to my kid's age, and they had all of the girls go in one car and the boys were in the other car. And so we're in the car behind them, and it's me and the other dad, and we're like best buds. And so I see our car ahead of us, and so we're stopped at a stoplight. I run out of the car right before the light turns green. I flip up the windshield wipers. My wife sees me coming, starts spraying me with the water spray, and I'm dying laughing, and I'm running back to the car, and all the kids are dying laughing. But the other thing that was funny, Tyler, was that everybody else that was around that area was like, what in the world is going on? And then when they realized what was happening, everybody started cracking up. So as I'm running back, man, like people are cracking up in their cars, dying laughing. And it's just this brief window of like getting us out of autopilot. I'm driving to the store. I'm going to school. I'm doing the work. I'm like, just for a moment. And I think that one of the things that you've illuminated is you break people out of that with the mug reveal. I've also stalked you on social media and some of your other marketing. I know that you do this in other ways, and you brought it up. Like, it has to be this emotional experience that people like have this feeling. And I feel like that's really where marketing is shifted. Can you kind of illuminate some of the ways that you've really brought delight and surprise and joy to people through some of your other marketing efforts that really are now emblematic of your brand?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, you hit it right on the head. And honestly, what I love about that is you just gave a story to all those people around you. And that's what life's about. It's about sharing stories. How many people around you went home and said, "Oh my God, this crazy guy ran out of his car and got sprayed with stuff." And like, but
Yeah.
that's what life's all about. And how do we create more of those moments? And you mention it with marketing. I think one of my favorite things, and I think what people, a lot of people that follow us on social love, is Tyler making a fool of himself. I just think because I truly just enjoy getting the laugh and having fun with it. I can take a lot of it that's been one of the funnier ways. I mean, getting to shoot content in the shop while people are there makes me so happy because we get the shot, it happens, and then I'm looking at people and they're looking at me like I got six heads. But again, we're creating those storied moments for people. And that's what people are going to go share with their friends. It probably wasn't the coffee that they drink. Now, they might say, "Oh my God, the crazy owner was doing something crazy. By the way, the latte was really good." But it's about the fact that they're talking about morning mugs and what you're going to get there. So I think that that's one of the big ways that we do it. I love shooting content live. I love being in the moment with people. We still do the cup reveal. We've been doing it every Monday now, 5 days a week's a lot.
Yeah.
So 52 videos a year that we can lock in for. And the first time I did it, people are just looking at me like this guy's just talking to a camera and not
Sure.
acknowledging what's around. Now people are getting into it. People are like there at the same time in the morning when I'm doing it. They've started to call out their guesses, or before I shoot the video, they say, "I'm going orange." And so we're creating these moments by just being present more than anything, but always keeping in the back of our head, we're doing this for fun. We're doing this to create a story that somebody can take somewhere else. And I think that that's, to your point, that's what marketing has become, this virality. But not everybody can have the millions of views on every page. It's also not always about that. Pretty crazy. So if you can just impact 10 people's lives and they share that story with three people and they share that story with two people, all of a sudden, one little act for a little coffee shop in Baltimore has the potential to grow our business. How do we recreate that? How do we keep doing that? The newer one that we're getting into are showing up at events. I think events are great. They're fun. I like to be, kind of at those events. I want people to think fun and morning mugs. Boom, perfect. So that's our new strategy: is how can we show up to events, fun ones, and kind of become pivotal? How do we become part of them? And that's been our newest venture when it comes to marketing. But yeah, I just think that at the end of the day, when you own a business, you have to really decide what is your business, and what I mean, what is, what's the purpose? Why are you doing it? And more times than not, when there's a fork in the road, pick the one that leads towards that. One, it's a hell of a lot more fun doing it that way. But also, it keeps you locked in, it keeps you in the zone to continue to deliver the same product. Consistency is key. That's how we've really targeted our marketing.
One of the things that I've noticed, though, too, Tyler, you're not just about consistency of the product itself. You're about the consistency of the brand experience. And one of the things that I talk a lot about when it comes to this, and I know that you're a master marketer, so you get this. But
Thank you.
a lot of well, I think you're really talented, brother.
No,
I mean, like being
I,
sincere. I like
I
yeah.
appreciate you
Uh,
sharing that. I think you can, and I apologize for cutting you off, but as
you're
an
great.
entrepreneur, sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror and see that, man. Like, I'm just going through life. You know what I mean? And I've been doing this on my own. I have friends, family, and people that have supported me more than, and the community that have supported me more than any, but sometimes it's just good to hear. So, Dave, truly appreciate, the kind words.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just balls and strikes. I just call them like I see them. You know what I mean? I think that there's this thing that happens for even larger brands. Like I will
Mm,
not say who, but I just had this happen with a good sized company doing 100 million plus in revenue, where there was the brand promise. And the brand promise can happen in a sales call. It happens a lot in your marketing and just brand in general. And a lot of people that get brand and logo confused, it's like, no, your brand is everything that you do. And so I had this brand promise that was really high. Like I expected that I was going to have a good time once I engaged with this organization. We signed an agreement, we get into onboarding, and it's a disaster. I mean, like, there's no communication. We've got four people that are points of contact, and none of them are communicating with each other. They're not, or if they are, they're not reading the emails that is like in this group thread. And so the brand experience did not equal the brand promise. And so I had to like reach back out to my salesperson, just be like, hey man, I want to work with you. This is
you
odd
pitched me
for
well.
me to,
Yeah.
yeah, like and everything that I've seen, like on your site, all the reviews you have, this is not the experience that I expected to have. Is something going on? And so then that person was able to say, yes, here are the things that are happening. I'm very sorry. And they took care of us in an appropriate fashion.
Sure.
That being said, I think that one of the things that you've really highlighted is like you are really thoughtful about, hey, we're going to make a brand promise. And then the brand experience, to your point about the banana bread syrup, is really
Yeah.
important as well. What is your how do you keep balancing that? Because there's always this desire as a good marketer to be like, let's elevate the brand promise. We'll get more people in. And at the same time, making sure that the brand experience really does equal and align with that brand promise. How do you maintain that
Um,
tension in the way that you have been able to so far?
yeah, I think it starts with, and Dave, great question. I love the story because I'm actually going to touch it. You're not everybody. You reached back out to try and figure it out, but I would say 8 times out of 10, they're just ditching you, especially in the restaurant industry. You don't get that second chance. Like you might have already, you know, paid some money or spent some money. So it's like, okay, I want to reap my benefit. But in this, you got one shot, maybe two. Otherwise, they're gone. So really, you raise a good point about that brand promise. I've actually never heard that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put that in the back of my mind and save it for later because how that color guessing game, which we hire some baristas from elsewhere, and they're like, what do you mean? Like color? Eh, Truth be told, 3 years ago,
Yeah,
we obviously have turnover like everybody else. Um,
sure.
we had somebody who said we should get rid of the color guessing game. He thinks that it was distracting to the customer, and I was like, oh man, this was a mistake on my end. This was a bad hire. Like that, I missed on that one. I'll own that one. But like
Sure.
whole process, you know,
Yeah.
they order their drink, they guess their color. So keeping that promise simple, because the minute it gets and you're not the one that's delivering the product, you'll start to lose it as you scale. And that's been a fear of mine, honestly. We did open our second location last year, and luckily, people are bought in and people know us well. And so the customer is still getting the same experience at both. But it's really about simplifying that. One of the things I think about is Starbucks. Starbucks used to write the name of every customer on the cup.
Yeah.
We tried that too. And let me tell you, it is tough. It
Yep.
puts a bottleneck in your flow. You don't know how to spell it, which part of it is that. It rubs off. You don't write it on every. So all of a sudden, they created a system that they couldn't scale with. And I don't know how they used to do it, but now with the sleeves. So anyway, it's all about creating a simplified method to how you deliver that brand promise first. Secondly, it's how can you continue to add on to it? It's almost like building a habit. You can't just stack one massive habit on another massive habit, but you can take a big habit and put a small habit on it until that habit becomes, structurally sound. And then you stack another one on it. So another way we deliver this is we have seasonal specials, which I think is really important in coffee. Any coffee shop that's not doing even one seasonal special, you're missing out because that's what people want. They want something different. They want to come in on Monday and get their nitro coffee. That's what they want, their vanilla iced latte with cold foam and even sprinkle some chocolate chips in there. We don't even do chocolate chips, but that maybe we will now because it's just something different. And so we've really leveraged these different points in the ordering process to have a good time. Sure, you can come in and order your normal coffee, but you're going to guess the color. Sure, you can come in and browse our menu and you can see our specials, which are big, bold, and they're on a completely separate screen. So how do we continue to hit the mark and where can we do that? Our newest one, which again actually just happened today, Dave, you're catching me on a great day. Let me tell you, is do we break into the syrups? A lot of when you're starting off small, I do a really good job of selling other people's stuff. That's what I've said. And it's about, delivering the product in a different way than anybody else. But now we have an opportunity as we've grown. We have economies of scale to an extent. Do we produce our own flavored syrups? Ones that you can't get anywhere else. My fear of this is we're creating a point of contention where we need to educate. So there's always that in the back of my mind. Enough Shark Tank has taught me that if you even just a billboard, even just like it's something somebody can read, it's probably a little too much. But is there now this new opportunity to create flavors that nobody else has that are fun, taste good, and work really well? So that's kind of been my mindset in marketing is we have this brand promise that you're going to come in and you're going to have a good time and you're going to get it consistently good as we grow, as we continue, because you do need to always be kind of doing the next thing. What are those little points that we can add to the brand promise that continue in this fun and just enjoyable experience around coffee? Again, maybe taking it a little further, going into the event space. How do we continue to, mend the brand of morning mugs with different types of events so that, again, synonymous brand promise, consistently good product, but also a good time. That's our mindset as we continue to grow and expand and really just dabble into anything.
Yeah, I think that, what you're up to is so fun, and I think that it's so meaningful. We forget that these little, like that coffee and the color of the sleeves. One of the things that I love about food and beverage, food service, even physical, tangible products, you have a thing that people, it can actually improve their day, right? And so like it's that whole thing where I always thought it was interesting. I'm a huge sports guy, and we would have this experience where I would see people get upset about they're like watching a football game, they're watching a baseball game, they're yelling at the TV. They've got like a little superstitious ritual, right? Like they've got a thing. And I'm like, you're not doing anything to move the dial for this game. Zero. However, when somebody comes into your shops, man, you get to move the dial for them. And at the end of the day, man, like the connection that they might feel with a barista that's just covering the color of a sleeve, or that's just having a fun interaction, or that's watching your social media and just thinking this is so fun and goofy and outrageous, whatever that is, it's this little morsel of joy. And so I really thank you, Tyler, for coming on and sharing your expertise and what you're up to, man. If people want to check you out, they want to check out the coffee shop, where can they go to do that, brother?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me. This was an awesome conversation and an awesome reminder of what I do, what I get to do every day, that fun shit that other people, sometimes sounds weird what we're doing, but we're having fun. You can check us out at Morning Mugs Coffee on all social platforms. If you're ever in the Baltimore area, we have two locations, one in Fed Hill, one in London to the Canton, and maybe even a little bit more north here soon. Um, because you just hit it on the head. We're moving the needle to joy a little bit more. I want more people to experience this. And so, I'm not stopping anytime soon, but truly appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I love it, brother. I've loved this conversation. And y'all, if you're in the Baltimore area, go check it out. Go stop by and give his Instagram or whatever your favorite social media a follow, because Tyler is up to fun. So it's always good to get in on. And Tyler, thank you again for running unicorn campaigns, brother.